one. All right. Welcome everyone to another Educators in VR event. This is our fifth year doing our cyberbullying annual month-long event. And we are so excited with all of the different events that we have been doing all month long in October to really stretch the boundaries to help us understand about how do we live, practice, exist, work in the metaverse with a focus on privacy, safety, and security. And today is no exception. We have a very, very special group here, and what an amazing team of people here, led by Dr. Loyce Pailen, is from the University of Maryland Global Campus and the Center for Security Studies, who's going to be talking about cyberbullying in the metaverse and beyond, because we know, and all of the research shows us, excuse me, that it doesn't start and end in the metaverse. It's all across real world to virtual to online and social media. So we need to embrace all of it as well. And we're going to get some great tips, techniques, and learn a whole bunch of stuff. So Dr. Loyce Pailen, all you.
Thank you very much. And thanks, Laurel, for inviting us. And as you already said, that the virtual worlds and online games, all of that provide new platforms for interactions. But unfortunately, this also means that there can be avenues or venues that advance options for cyberbullying. So we know cyberbullying happens outside of the virtual world. Today, we wanted to discuss some of the cybersecurity bullying concerns, including addressing cyberbullying in the virtual worlds to foster a supportive community that creates and enforces clear rules, and educates players about appropriate online behavior. And we also know that developers, moderators, and players all have a role to play in making virtual worlds a safer and more inclusive space. So I wanted to introduce my team here today. As you heard, I am Dr. Loyce Pailen. I'm the Senior Director for the Center for Security Studies at UMGC. Dr. Brandy Chateau is one of my sidekicks who also works with us in the VR environment. She is a professor and program director for educational technology at UMGC, but she had an emergency with her pet, so she couldn't be here today. But I needed to shout out for Brandy. We have Robin Burns. Robin, are you speaking now? Oh, did Robin not come back? So she's going to be back shortly, but Robin Burns is an instructor in Calvert County Public Schools, and she has also been one of my lab managers at the Gen Cyber camps that we have at UMGC. We have Sean Flowers. He is also one of my Gen Cyber folks who has been the lead curriculum manager. Sean, want to wave? I don't know if you can wave your
Yeah.
And then we have Jennifer Hull, who is an academic program coordinator at UMGC and has been very instrumental in helping us with the Gen Cyber camps and very instrumental in the VR and activities that we're doing. So we wanted to, since we have this area, we thought we'd do a quick scenario for you. And what we want to do is present a disgruntled student who is intent on badgering her professor for a bad grade that he has given her. And while we're doing the scenario, I want you to take a look around at the placards that we have on the wall, because these are some of the things that happen in the metaverse with cyberbullying. And I want you to think about what's happening as we go through this scenario. And we'll discuss some of these characteristics as we go along. So is my team ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So here's the scenario. As I mentioned, it's a disgruntled student intent on badgering her professor. And a young woman named Anna, which will be Jennifer, she sits at a computer in her bedroom. She's wearing a VR headset and gloves.
I can't believe he gave me a C on my paper. I worked so hard on it.
Anna takes off her VR headset and slams it down on the desk. She is furious.
I'm going to show that bastard what I'm made of.
Anna puts her VR headset back on and creates a fake profile on the metaverse. She changes her name to Jessica, uploads a profile picture of a beautiful young woman.
Hi, I'm Jessica.
She has
Hey,
Anna has searched the metaverse for her teacher, Mr. Smith, and she found him in a virtual coffee shop, and he's sitting at a table by himself. And she walks over to him and sits down across from him and tells him she's Jessica.
Hi, I'm Jessica.
hi, Jessica. I'm Mr. Smith.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Smith. I'm new here.
It's nice to meet you too, Jessica. What brings you to the metaverse?
I'm just exploring. I've I've heard it's a great place to meet people. Wink, wink.
uh, yes, it is. So, what do you do for a living?
I'm a student, a really good student. I go to your school.
Really? Hmm. What class do I have you in?
English?
I don't remember seeing you in my class.
Well, I sit in the back. I'm usually, putting lipstick on. I'm a very shy person.
Hmm. Well, it's nice to finally meet you, Jessica.
Nice to meet you too, Mr. Smith.
Anna, posing as Jessica, and Mr. Smith talk for a while, but Anna learns that Mr. Smith is divorced, a father of one. He seems to be a pretty nice guy. Anna starts to feel a little bit guilty about what she's doing. She doesn't want to hurt Mr. Smith, but she's too angry about her grade to back down.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to find out why he gave me a C, and then I'm going to make him pay.
Anna continues to befriend Mr. Smith. She learns his habits and routines. She knows where he goes and what he does every day. So one day, Anna decides it's time for her to make her move. She creates a new profile on the metaverse, this time using her real name and picture. And Anna logs into the metaverse and goes to the virtual coffee shop where she knows Mr. Smith hangs out. She sees him sitting at his usual table and she walks over to him and sits down across from him.
Hi, Mr. Smith.
Anna, what are you doing here?
I'm here to talk to you about my grade.
What about it?
I don't think you gave me a fair grade.
Uh, well, I disagree. I thought your paper was well written, but it did lack a little bit of originality. You didn't seem to have your own thoughts on the subject. That's kind of
That's
plagiarism.
not true. That's not true. I put a lot of work into that paper.
Whoa, whoa. I'm sorry, Anna, but I stand by my decision. It's up to me.
So Anna stands up angrily.
Fine, but this is not over.
So Anna walks away from Mr. Smith and she is more determined than ever to make him pay. Anna continues to stalk Mr. Smith in the metaverse. She learns everything there is to know about him, and she knows his darkest secrets and wants to tell them to the other students. The end.
No clapping? Don't hear any clapping.
Oh, there's the clapping. There's the clapping.
Oh, thank you.
But you left us with a cliffhanger.
Well, I already knew. I knew Mr. Smith's Starbucks order. I was going to go get him some Starbucks.
Well, it is somewhat of a cliffhanger. We don't know what Anna's going to do, but she has the metaverse at her fingertips. She can do a lot, as we can see. So, can we have a little bit of discussion about, let's talk about some of these characteristics of cyberbullying. The first one, which is very, very obvious, is stalking. Anybody want to talk about what stalking, where were we with stalking in the scenario?
I can use an example that we've had at the university. We've
Hmm.
had students actually get home addresses of our academic program coordinators, one of them in my department. We've had it done to our professors before, and the students have gone as far as to arrive at their homes.
That's right. So in the metaverse, you have the same thing where
Well,
if people,
it started off in the metaverse, then it ended up at their homes. That was the saddest
oh,
part
did
about
it?
it all.
Did it? Okay. Okay. Any other thoughts about stalking in the metaverse that might be specific to this venue that we're in? I think the biggest thing is that you can really change your appearance so easily. Maybe in the real world you can change your appearance, but here it's just a matter of a few clicks in order to change your appearance. That makes stalking a little bit more dangerous. Thoughts?
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. You know, the ability to mask your identity is more prevalent than ever in the metaverse, right? So I think the kind of modern day way to relate to this is the movie called Ready Player One. I don't know if anybody's seen it before, where that's like the best
Oh yeah.
representation of the metaverse that you can kind of think of, and you can really be anybody you want. And she really could have really befriended Mr. Smith and really take it really far, even to have any special particular interest, maybe even a love interest to get back at him or anything like that. So you just really don't know who's on the other line, how much research they're doing into you, and what they'll go to get any payback or achieve that end goal that they're
And Anna had that love interest tone in her voice when she was thinking about harassing him.
yes. And these
I
same
have
things
I have a lot of practice.
these, these things occur more than you think. So, you know, it
Oh
sounds like
yeah.
a silly scenario, but it's actually true. It's happening right now.
Yeah. I
Right.
want to throw a little bit of a devil's advocate wrench into this. I lived in Israel for too long, and it is normal behavior there that if you don't like something, you go and you complain. Even to the point where one of my friends, when she was put, they have forced military or social um, giving back as required right after high school. And she was put into the infantry and she didn't her that was a random assignment. She didn't like it. So she took like 4 buses and a train and she walked to the head commander of the military's home, knocked on the door at like 10 at night and he answered it and she gave him what for and said, I don't want to be where I am. You need to put me somewhere. She didn't know him. They didn't, but that's a normal thing that is part of that society. And so confronting a teacher when something is done isn't right, that's not stalking, that's not harassment, that's a behavior. But when it then moves to following people and doxing them or doing, harassing them and disguising yourself stuff, that's when it really moves. But it's also a fine line between that initial confrontation and extended. So I just want to make it clear that part of the stalking is that it's repeated behavior. It
Hmm.
continues on. It's not a one time, you can't say, oh, they stalked me because they just came once to my house. Um, that may not be it, but really look at how far this goes. The anonymity is also quite overrated in VR. It's very hard to truly disguise your voice, even if you try to sound like a little girl, or people usually can recognize who you are. And if once they get to know you, and so voice identification makes it difficult. Now there's more modern voice modulators that will really, really change your voice, but that requires some sophistication. But being silent and looking like different people's avatars, that's really common, and it's just really painful when you know and you have a whole conversation with somebody and you think, Loyce, I recognize you and I think it's you, and then I realize it's not you because you walked in and went, Laurel, who are you talking to? Then we have a problem. But yeah, that ability to
Right.
disguise
Those are good
yourself as
points.
somebody else is
Yeah.
is huge.
Yeah, that whole impersonation thing is just as Laurel said, it's really a bigger. I think it's a bigger issue in the metaverse. Some of the other things we have on the wall, harassment and character assassination. You want to talk about that a little bit? Sean, did you feel harassed, Mr. Smith?
Yeah, I did actually. The repeated attempts, right? Harassment is any unwanted contact or any unwanted advances, right? And that are repeated.
Hmm.
And I felt a little harassed because she kept coming back, and I obviously knew that she was somebody else
Hmm.
the first time, and she comes back a second time, and and you could tell by the tone of her approach that there was some hostility there,
Hmm.
especially when she revealed the grading issue. So harassment is
Right.
a big deal.
I think it can be so easy for people because they can create different identities. I
Hmm.
mean, you can get different emails. You can one day I could be a woman, one day I could be a man. You could be anything you want to be when you're in the metaverse, and that gives
Right.
people a lot of courage.
And then I think we kind of ended with the fact that Anna might think about some character assassination. Is anybody want to talk about how that might be different in the metaverse than, say, Facebook or one of the other social media apps? How is it different here that
Oh,
character assassination could happen?
could you give us some examples? Because it's hard to think of how it feels to me like it would be the same. When you try to damage somebody's reputation, it feels like it's the same in both places. So how do you think it would be different? That's a hard one.
It is a hard one. It is a hard one. I mean, Anna left the cafe saying she's going to get him back. She found some personal information about him that she might want to assassinate his character. But people can do that in other forms of social media too. I was just wondering if if it would be any different in the metaverse at all, or
I
would
mean,
it be easier or compounded in the metaverse?
she could easily dox him. I mean, she could give out his personal information. She could give his home address out. I mean, she could do a lot of things online privately.
Well, also publicly. So let me give an example, because character assassination is a fascinating term, and doxing is one of those things, but it's often thought of as separate. But it is a character assassination, so that's a great summary word. When Hey, Mike, welcome. If you want to turn around and look at
Can you
everybody,
hear
we're going to
me?
mute you though. Yes, we can hear you. We can
Thank
hear
you.
a lot of background noise and stuff too, but you can just turn
Okay,
around
sorry
and
about that.
that's okay. Just use your mouse to turn around. Um, so when Educators in VR was docs, there you go. Hello, welcome. Um, a couple years ago, they and so was I. They hosted events under Educators in XXXR. They it was going for X-rated. They put all of my personal information, all my home address, my social security number, all my stuff. They managed to find the web, even though I'm absolutely paranoid about that. There are ways of getting that information, and they found it, and they put it up in the artwork for the event. So anyone seeing the artwork promoted on the platform of the event saw all my personal information, and then they pasted that into the event description. We were able to shut that down really fast with the staff, but it's still out there. And they took it and they put it all over social media and everything, so everybody knew my address. Um, it took some very specialized people to track the person down, who was very mentally ill and had a history of this. Uh, but it was very hard to get help, and that's a different part of it, later part of this discussion. Mike, we're going to mute you because we're hearing all kinds of office noises and things
I'm
rattling
sorry,
in
I
behind there.
can't
You can
figure out how to maneuver on this thing. Sorry about that.
you okay? You just move your mouse. Just literally move your mouse, and if you're on a trackpad, that's harder. But just move your mouse, and it will turn.
Got it. Got it.
Got it? Okay. Thanks. All right. Yeah, you just move your mouse from left to right, and you're good. But that was the way that they did that. Now, could they emulate that in the real world and in social media? Absolutely. They could post the images of all that information, the text of all that information, which they did do. But they did create an event that attracted a whole lot of attention to pull people in to fake what Educators in VR was as a sex thing, which luckily for us, it violated the platform's rules. It had, just on the basis of the content that was in the event. So that's it's kind of the same thing. It's hard. Anyone else think of how it could be different in VR?
Yeah, I was kind of brainstorming and thinking about it. Maybe like impersonating the avatar or making the avatar do movements like dances and taking it out of context, and then maybe claiming like a relationship between the professor and the student. Yeah.
Well, I think the bottom line is that we see that cyberbullying is a big issue, no matter where we are. I think that we need to make sure that we follow some of the general rules also that we follow. We talk to many schools about the importance of what to do as far as cyberbullying is concerned. And I think it's pretty much the same as it is in the real world. You have to, one of the main things that we tell students is that it's very important to report it. You have to report what's happening and to seek help from trusted people. There are a ton of websites out there that can help you with getting information about what to do if you feel like you're cyberbullied. So from that standpoint, what we need to do if it's happening either in real world or virtual world, we need to do some of the same best practices to alleviate it. It might be easier though to do in real world. I was just thinking about that myself. It may not be as easy to report it in the virtual world. Would you agree with that, Laurel?
Okay, so reporting is a little more complicated. So there's levels of reporting. So first of all, you need to block the person. So that's an individual thing. And so that you block the person using whatever blocking tools that are available on the different platforms. The second part is you need to notify the people that reported on the platform. So you need to have their username and the location of where the event happened so they can track that information and tie that into the person. From there, you have to check all the different platforms and report whichever methodology is used. So it's usually not one. So if you hang out, let's say in Engage and Spatial and VR Chat, you have to do this on all three platforms. You have to check and make sure, block the person, and then report them. Depending upon the scale of what then happens, if it crosses into illegal, you need to report it per your city, county, state, country rules. In the United States, local police stations are the ones who need to have it reported to, but it needs to be reported to the local police station of where the violator lives. If you don't know where the violator lives, we got a problem. You can't report it. This is stupid, right? This is where things change. You can't, I don't know the person attacking me. Yeah, we had to bring in a specialist to track down their IP address and find out where they lived, which could have been masked, to report it there, which happened to be in Seattle. And the Seattle police, they didn't know what to do with it. They had no idea. They said, well, we've got a cyber something team. I said, well, what's it called? I don't know. It's cyber something. Look it up. You have access to the web. Not helpful. So there's more awareness needs to happen. More training needs to be happening in that. If money is involved, it goes to the FBI. So if somehow they've impacted you financially, it needs to be thousands of dollars. They don't care if it's $50 or $100. They don't care. If it's thousands of dollars or millions of dollars, then they're going to sit up and go, we got a problem here. But otherwise, they don't care. But you can still report it to the FBI because you might be one of 20 people reporting it to the FBI, not just one. be aware that if they're doing it to one person, they're often doing it to another. The Interpol looks like they may become the International Metaverse Police. They are training to become that. But again, they're into serious stuff and not, I'm just going to pick on you because you're a teacher. And it has to cross international borders. So there isn't anything, and we're reliant on the platform. And that's
Right.
heartbreaking. We need to change that, right?
Yes, yes. Well, thank you. That's great. That is great
Mm-hmm.
information. So I think that's all we have. Does anyone have any other questions?
Well, I have a question right off the bat. So your team has been doing amazing work with K through 12 and working with teachers to really help them understand the security risks, how do you protect the students, combined with how do you help the students protect themselves. And I'd love to hear more about that.
Well, one of the things that we're engaging in right now is I don't know how many people know it's October Cybersecurity Awareness Month. There's a couple of things I want to say. One is that it's October Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So every year, and we don't relegate it to October all the time, but we have several webinars to support our students on all types of cybersecurity activities, cybersecurity awareness activities. Each year, the DHS and the Department of Defense, all of them get together to give us a theme um, that we should focus on for that year. And it has changed. It's been going on for 20 years. This is the 20-year anniversary. So every year we're always in the forefront of providing cybersecurity awareness education for our students and all of our colleagues in the cybersecurity community. Personally, within the university, we have a very nice um, application. It's developed by a company called Know Before, KNOBE, the number of four, and they provide all of our cybersecurity awareness training, and it's quarterly. All faculty and staff are required to take the cybersecurity awareness training, and it's very well done. It provides scenarios. It's the actors are very good within the application. So that is a very robust system that we use internally to keep the staff and the faculty cybersecurity aware. As a matter of fact, just before this presentation, we had our acting CISO do a presentation on multi-factor authentication. And that's been, I learned a lot from that webinar because UMGC is doing a lot as far as MFA is concerned. We are up there as far as they showed some statistics that companies and industries who are focusing on MFA, we are up there along with the financial institutions of paying attention to MFA. So there's a lot going on. I have to give a big shout out to our CISO's office because they do an excellent job as far as cybersecurity awareness for the institution.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I wish more schools would do that. And I would love to know. So, Sean, if you have more to add to that, I would
Yeah.
love that. But I'd also like to know, what are you finding that teachers are most struggling with in all of this?
Yeah. Dr. Loyce, if you want to continue, I do want to add to the whole Cybersecurity Awareness Month and some initiatives that are going on in other places that I can speak on, unless you want me to speak on that first.
Well, Sean is actually a faculty member at UMGC
Yeah.
also. So you can speak, if you can speak on it. Have you had any issues or do you know of any other faculty who have had particular concerns?
No, I haven't. And there are a lot of good things kind of going on in cybersecurity awareness month, and being a faculty, I'm only faculty part-time here, and full-time, I do have my own cybersecurity awareness, cybersecurity education nonprofit that I run called Ready for Cyber. And what we do for this month is we hold workshops and sessions for the community where we're educating grandparents and parents on cybersecurity, how to avoid phishing attacks, how to avoid being fake friended by people, by your loved ones online, how to avoid sending money places that are not real, and not think the FBI is really gonna put you under the rest, right? Because we see that, but we don't, we get paranoid by the FBI, and then we don't read that it says under the rest, not under arrest, right? So being able to spot and avoid phishing things is things that we do at my nonprofit, readyforcyber.org, because our mission is to spread cybersecurity awareness and increase the amount of awareness people are getting, for generations and beyond. So we're doing a lot of good things, just educating the community, trying to reach out to each person, every single person, community, and organization, because like you alluded to earlier, who do you reach out to if something happens? The police department is not going to help you. So who else is there? So all we can do is try to educate ourselves and finally realize cybersecurity is more than just its own field. It's a component of each business. It's a component of each discipline. It's a component of every part of our lives. So we're doing a lot of good things. So you can check us out at readyforcyber.org. And we're doing a lot of good things also with UMGC. They've done a lot of good things with the MFA and raising awareness for that. So really, really good stuff happening from multiple organizations during this month.
Thanks,
That
Sean.
is awesome. I'd also like to add, those are the same topics that we need to have here in VR. So we spend a lot of time talking about safety in the metaverse, but we need to talk about safety in the real world here in the metaverse too, because it still applies. That's beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Jennifer, did you have something? I saw you unmuting. No?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. Okay. Any more questions? Well, I think it's interesting. I think you've helped me a lot because it's deep down inside, I really do feel that the metaverse brings something else to the table as far as cybersecurity concerns and cyberbullying and all of the things, privacy and all of those things. And I'd really like to be part of understanding what happens in the metaverse and how we need to be concerned about it and how we can let people know how to stay safe.
Absolutely. And I so appreciate the work that you've done, the work that um, that you did, you do with all the teachers and training them with the Gen Cyber. Ah,
Right.
which one is it? I want to get it right. Which way is it said?
It's Gen Cyber.
Gen Cyber. There it is.
Gen Cyber.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you. It's so exciting and it's so important because from a teacher's perspective, we I think of it from a parent's perspective. We went from kind of worrying them lightly about the crazy person, the don't talk to strangers, to now don't talk to strangers, don't do drugs, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. And when you go into the metaverse now, don't this and don't that and don't this. As a teacher, we're doing the same thing. It's now we have to talk about helping students understand what is the difference between private and personal data and how to protect it, how to read, that they need to read and understand the terms and conditions. We need parents to understand if you're going to buy your kid a headset, you have to be a little bit technically sophisticated because you need to use the protection tools that are available.
Parental control.
The parental controls. You can't just hand a headset to a kid, and then, but you have to understand, people don't know what MFA is. It's the the double authentication when you come in and you have to then verify through your phone or through an authentication app or something like that. There's a lot of complicated things that we need to learn now. So good on you for taking this on to teach everybody at all ages how to include this in the curriculum and how to make it kind of fun too. And
thank you.
And so I'd like to know, what's the most fun thing that you've done, whether in the metaverse or real world, for teaching people about security issues?
This was. We've never done a play. We've never done a play before, and we might have done it longer, but we thought we only had like 20 minutes, so we tried
Yeah.
we
No, it was
cut it
brilliant.
back. But
And
we could
also,
have gone
Loyce
on.
restrained me. Loyce restrained
did.
me. I couldn't do
What did you want to do?
I could have done a
Don't
lot,
ask her what she
Laurel.
wanted to do.
Don't ask me. And poor Sean would have been in really bad shape.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
It would've been-
There
yeah.
would have been some honey, honey, baby, baby stuff. Ooh.
Yeah.
Then we would have had to go to Educators in VR XXR, I think.
XXR. Oh, I love it. That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Wonderful. No, what you did with that demonstration was you brought it to life because you made us think about the fact that, we have our own perspective of what each of these signs represents. And you made it real for us. So you turn what was, harassment into stalking and character assassination. And I was waiting for that cliffhanger moment where in following and stalking the teacher, they found out the teacher was having an affair, was really a boozer, or whatever it was, and was going to
Yeah.
use that against them. in some
That's
way.
where
was
I
waiting
wanted
for
to take it.
Yes.
That's where
Right.
I wanted to take it.
That can be part 2. We'll do a part 2
Okay,
one
Yeah,
part
day.
two.
we can
I
do that.
love that. I love that. That's wonderful.
But what I wanted to say was that just knowing that we had to do this in the VR environment
Mhm.
made us want to think. Where's Robin? All of us wanted to think
Mhm.
about how to do it without a PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
Right.
It
that
changes things.
It did change it. I mean, it just changed it instantaneously. That we knew we
Mhm.
couldn't put something up on the wall and talk about it. It just made us think about doing it differently. So I think that's a big plus as far as
Oh, I
educating in
love it.
VR.
And
And it,
and I,
and yeah, go ahead, Sean.
and I think the big thing that we really want to take away from this is understanding that times are different now, and we all know that out in the real world, we all want to be a good citizen. Everybody generally wants to do the right thing, and when we get in these virtual environments, we still have to promote the importance of being a digital citizen, right? Understanding
Absolutely.
that the same kind of rules still apply, and just being a good steward and not abusing the ability to hide behind a persona, which, the law will catch up and technology will catch up with identifying these things, but we all need to do our part in being a good digital citizen as we move towards these online environments more and more. Taking care of each other just like we do out in the real world is something that we need to be instilled in people in early stages. Like you said, when a kid gets that headset at 10, 12 years old, he should still have the same perceptions and the ideas as if he's out in an actual environment playing with other people.
Absolutely.
I just had my son in the car with me, and I said to him, "You're so fortunate that he didn't get his first cell phone or his first anything until like 5th or 6th grade. So he had a little bit of a life before computers came into his life." And I said, "Right now we're living in the wild, wild west." I said, "We don't know what's going on. I mean, there's so much out there." And I said, in 20 years, it won't be the wild, wild west anymore,
There'll be a new Wild Wild West.
Yeah. And I said, it's a really fun time to be around. That's what I said to
It
him. I said,
is.
it's exciting.
It is exciting. So on that note, I'd love to hear from anyone else. Do you have any stories you'd like to share? Any thoughts, questions? You have a team of experts up here who would love to answer your questions. Wendy, did you have something?
Yeah.
Nope, just working on unmuting. Nope. Okay. Anyone else? Hey, Dr. Ott.
Hey guys.
Glad you're here. Yeah.
I know.
Do you have a
It's good to
question
see
or a
everybody.
comment? Yeah. Do you have a question or a comment?
No, I think my hand just maybe went up by accident.
That's okay. No, I just want to see if it does. Because this is such an important topic, and it feels like it's more complicated than it should be. But like Sean said, this is no different than the real world. We need to be good digital citizens, but there's some nitty gritty little bits and pieces that confuse us and feel like it's more complicated than it needs to be.
So I had just a thought
Mm-hmm.
because artificial intelligence is a big deal now, and I'm not sure would the metaverse be impacted by AI in some way, where I don't know. I'm just thinking
Oh, it
about the
already is.
match and in what ways.
Yeah. Well, Engage was one of the first metaverse platforms that social VR platforms that had AI brought in as her name's Athena as a avatar who can answer questions, provide customer support and whatnot. Looks like a real person, but is an AI. We've had many different events where Robert Vogel, who was one of our professional trainers, and he has brought in AI that will do live translation and all kinds of different things. It's really had an amazing impact, and AI is being used in gaming characters, as well as support and world building, where you can actually. This is something that Meta's been working on for a few years, where you use in Horizon Worlds, you can use your voice to actually describe what you want, and an AI will create it and bring it right into world, which all of those things create issues because what if you say I want a giant penis? Is it going to have a filter on it to say we don't create those and bring them in here? I don't know. What's going to be if it's a medical thing? Maybe. I don't know. But these are the questions we need to ask, along with one that Dr. Angelina Dayton is with the Virtual World Society is doing some incredible research in AI influence in the school. And
I
in working
saw
with
it.
yeah, she's doing some
Hmm.
brilliant stuff she's doing, and she's actually she's not, her students are coming up with ideas how to break the AI and test it. And one of them is in a general conversation with an AI, go off topic and say something like, my uncle is touching me in places I don't like. And how will the AI respond to protect the student? Because
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
many countries, there's the reporting laws in place. They're called different things in different countries. And if a teacher learns that a student is being harmed, they are obligated to report it, right? What about
Right.
the AI? What responsibility do they have? And how is that trained in? And, how do you deal with a kid saying, I'm having unwanted touching, or a younger kid who doesn't have the language going, well, I don't like it when they're not nice to me, which
Right.
could mean something else. There's interpretation that's in there. All of those things are coming into the metaverse in so many different ways, no different
So
than the
so
real
it's
world.
yeah. So it seems to me that AI could exacerbate some of the issues that we were already talking about.
It
Yeah.
could. One of the ways that is most exciting is that Phil Spencer of Xbox announced, and Sony and Microsoft and others are coming on board with it, now Epic and others, AI algorithms and things that are actually identifying bad actors within one game to prevent them from going into the next game and causing harm.
Mm.
And they're using AI to monitor reports and of harassment and violence and attacks and things like that. But then what? And Discord has just announced that they are changing their moderation features to no longer ban anyone when they misbehave, unless they do something extreme. They're using an algorithm with AI on that social platform to come up with a way to, one, make the ban temporary and appropriate to the misbehavior, and two, provide information on what the person did to help and how they can correct their behavior. So if it's coming into Discord, it's coming to a virtual game and a VR game and everything else near you. So who knows?
Okay. Well, thanks for that. There's a lot going
Yeah,
on.
there's a lot going on. It's good. I think next year's curriculum is going to be changing because of all of this. All right,
Right.
last chance. Any other comments or questions? See, this is a favorite subject of mine. This is our 5th year doing this, but I've been doing this for a lot longer, and I just love it. I'm so thrilled. So anyone have any other questions or comments?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Mike, we can hear you. You can turn around by
Oh, hi.
swinging your
I'm so
mouse around.
sorry. I came in late and I was
That's
just
fine.
off kilter. Just one thought, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
coming at it out of a little bit out of left field, but sort of a question. to what extent do we ask students what they think when we're thinking about the considerations? Because I taught high school last year, and I, for instance, had them watching, when they were trying to ban TikTok, and they were watching the 15 minutes of the baby boomers talking about how they were going to ban it by the next week. And they all sat there, most of them, almost all of them having those accounts. And it wasn't really hubris that they were saying, they're not going to ban this, Dr. Caruso. And so I just often think to myself, when we're trying to figure out what we're most concerned about with respect to students and especially younger students, I'm not talking about the elementary school students necessarily. I'm talking about high school students. Sometimes asking them what they think needs to be done to keep students safe, or what the adults aren't thinking about, the decision makers aren't thinking about.
Dr. Loyce, that's a perfect one for you and your team.
That's a good question, Mike. Well, first of all, Mike Caruso is my colleague from Prince George's Prince George's County Public Schools. So thanks for coming, Mike. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank
I didn't
you.
recognize you. I was looking at your back. So I could...
Yeah. Just swing the mouse around.
But I started to recognize the voice.
A or D key.
Yeah. But to answer that question, we do need to ask students. I mean, I don't know if we do a really good job at asking students what they need. I really can't answer the question, because as far as my activities have been, it's been with teachers, faculty and teachers. So
it's kind of a broader question. It's not so much, hey, what is UMGC doing or not doing? It's more like, sometimes I think when we're developing curriculum and we're doing different things, and one of our teachers is on, Dr. Vanessa Tung, and she's big on asking the students for taking leadership roles in her class. And so it's just a thought. As we're looking at this, sometimes we're trying to figure it out as the adults, and sometimes the answers are sitting right there, amongst the constituency.
At UMGC, we have a very different student population than as a high school student, but we have student advisory boards. We have, our students, at least as far as I'm concerned, have never been quiet. Let's just say that. They let us know, and this has made us, working online and now working in the metaverse has made everybody step up in a different way. But we're all learning together in the wild, wild west, I guess.
Yeah. I think that's a very interesting question. And, when it comes to how we develop these curriculums and how we approach cyberbullying and things like that, we definitely need to hear from the operational level, right? The people that are actually in this every day, the people who are actually online, those stories that you hear on TikTok and all these social media sites, you need to hear that, because those highlight the gaps that we're not able to see at the higher levels where decisions are being made. So, in my organization in Ready for Cyber, when we develop curriculums, we listen and align curriculum stuff to real world things that are happening, to capture those things. So students are learning about why TikTok is being banned, what are the implications there, and what are some of the risks that are associated with it. They want to know why being a digital citizen is important. So these type of things have to be captured, and like you said, it has to be heard from the community, so we can know what are the concerns that people are having, and then we can turn those more into actual real world things rather than academia theory notion of things.
Thanks, Sean.
Yeah.
And
we're done here, but I wanted to add, for educators in VR, we come at it a little differently, because our main target audience are the educators, researchers, students, and businesses that are truly passionate about XR and training. And we listen to them all the time, trying to find out from their unique perspective. So the students will let us know those things, but teachers come to us and say the students are asking me this and I don't have an answer. They need to know this and I don't have an answer. And so we're answering those. But it needs to take all of us. It takes a whole village to come up with all the solutions, and everyone is a part of it. And I'd like to add that um, it's really important for everyone to understand that we're not talking about something that is distant from each other. This harassment, the impersonation, the character assassination, stalking, all of the cyberbullying and cybercrime things, it is not an issue of if it will ever happen to you. It is an issue of when. And be aware, we have to live in a prevention-oriented mentality for all of these different things, because it takes one click and your machine has been hacked by malware. It takes I tell people that if they're being harassed and if they're being attacked, I never say, why did this happen? What did you do? You don't have to do anything to have these things happen. I've done nothing but just stood there and just crossed the path of somebody who was looking and hunting. You never know. And so this is unfortunately the world we live in. And it's a world I want to change. And I think together we can change that, right, right team? We need to change this without a doubt.
Without a doubt. Yes, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much, Lorel, for inviting us.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone
Thank you.
from the University of Maryland's Global Campus and the Center for Security Studies, to all of you who are here. Thank you so much for being a part of this. And thank you to our educators and VR team for helping make this a great event too. So thank you. And I look forward to more. I'm greedy that way. I want more. Thanks, everyone.
You're welcome.
Thank you
Take
very
care.
much.